Max velocity day, everybody. So today is going to be another awesome workout. I got a lot of stuff planned, just a lot of movement prep stuff, and the movement prep stuff that Coach Kula has me doing, it is really important. And in the long run, these things, these drills, these different methods and things like that will all collaborate together and assist me to get better faster. However, I can also do a little bit of my own stuff. So before we even get started, I'm just going to do some movement stuff on this body tempering mat. This is Donnie Thompson mat, just to kind of get rolling, and I really need to work on getting my knee to go behind my butt more so when I'm doing, when I'm sprinting and stuff, and it just doesn't really want to go there. So first thing I'm going to start with is messing around on here. Actually, this is an oldie but a goodie from a Kelly Starrett. You bring this guy up on the ham hocker, and we just kind of get in here, and we just try to kind of just get a little feel for some. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's it's pulling me this way, which makes me have to resist back against it, and I can do some glute flexing against it. Just a real mild, passive way to kind of open up that hip for the day. Not really trying to get a lot of static stretching, but I'm not afraid if there's a little bit of static stuff, trying to get some movement in there. And then we might as well get into the hammy. So the ham hock, you get into it this way. Thicker bands feel a little bit better. And you can kind of do almost like elephant. There's that elephant walk people talk about where you're just kind of lengthening out that hamstring a little bit. Remember, the band kind of helps provide a resistance and assistance in a way. And I used to do these a lot too, where I'd come out here, we'd get down here, and this would pull the hip this way. Then you would do some kind of groin stretch type stuff. Really nothing fancy. It's just stuff that I'm just messing with. I used to do these before every squat workout, but I don't have the same kind of workouts anymore, so I got rid of a lot of that prep. When you're lifting like a weenie, what's the prep? If you're just going and doing a bodybuilding workout, there's no prep, because bodybuilding is similar to jogging. The intensity just isn't that high. And then what's your movement prep for going on a little jog? It's you shouldn't really need one. Walking could be your warm up, right? But when you start having intensity be higher, it's helpful. I mean, even this right here feels amazing. This is a nice stretch on my feet. Some of what we're trying to do too is trying to shift into this hip capsule on this side. So I'm trying to take my weight and shove it into here. Something I was messing with the other day that felt pretty good was to take this guy, this counterbalance weight. Some of this stuff obviously feels good, twisting. Some opposite twisting, so my hips are trying to point that way to start, and shoulders are trying to be this way to start, and then I'm trying to reverse all that. This is way harder than you think. Then you can also just do it where your head's real neutral, your body's stiff on purpose, and you can do it with more motion. Where you're using momentum, you can do it where you don't have any momentum. So one of the things that's nice is you have this counterbalance weight that gets you into these kind of like lunge positions and stuff kind of freely without any pain. Make you cramp up. Just take any cable machine at your gym and get a good weight on there and just move around. Try some of these guys. Try some of this for the groin. Takes a little bit of time, and it's maybe not your favorite shit to do, but I think you'll find that it feels good. I've noticed that when you're on padding that your leg tends to want to sink into the padding and it feels good. So like this is softer than this, so this will work even better because my knee is gonna like, I need to get my whole body on here. Yeah, because I'm squishing into that pad, it actually gives me more, like doing a stretch like this on like your bed or something feels amazing, or your couch, because your knee only takes up so much surface area and your couch is probably pretty soft, and your knee will drive down, and when it drives down, it's going to drive down and back, and it's going to get you right into there. I can sort of climb through here and get some different motion. Again, it's not really looking for like a long-term stretch here, but just movement. This ball right here is from a company called Go Mat, and it's very bouncy. So it hurts, but it's not that bad. Just trying to get some good pressure into those areas that don't want to move very well. Also, this is like it pushes my leg back because of the size of the ball. So it kind of pushes my leg. Yeah, you find a nasty spot and you just run it over a couple times. I'd say like ideally you would want to run it over at least 10 times or so. Kind of reminds me of the story of the gray gondola. My best friend in high school, Cade Jetlin, had a car called the Gray Gondola. It was legendary. And we went to a bank one day, and he went to take out some money. And just because we're dumb and we're kids, he just floors it and goes over this speed bump and totally destroys his car. and his shocks were like messed up. And so his car, everywhere we went for like the next couple of weeks, I didn't have a license yet. He was older than me. The car would just bounce everywhere we'd go. It'd go boom, boom, boom. It'd bounce because like it had no more shocks. And then I was like, hey, I said, you know what we got to do? He's like, what? I said, we got to go back to that bank and fix this car up. And he goes, oh, hell yeah. So then we go back to the bank and he smashes that same jump again. And it like, I don't know what it did with the shocks, but it made the car so it was like stuck, and it kind of temporarily did fix it. So sometimes you got to shove things into certain positions, certain ways, and the gray gondola is a great example of that. We had to go over that speed bump a couple times. So when you find your speed bump, you might have to run it over a couple times. This would typically be done more so on like an off day. Would probably be or a few hours after training, maybe. Today I'm doing it a little bit before. I want to see how it feels. Kind of testing it out. We got my bouncy ball that I take on walks with me. Made a couple posts recently talking about, getting into the 200-pound range. And I saw some comments, some people were like, oh, bro changes his diet every 2 weeks. And like, I don't know, there's just like a lot of people trying to be negative. I just like to address some of the stuff sometimes because I think it's important. First of all, anybody that you see that's really lean, they're always changing their diet. So someone who typically utilizes a lot of carbohydrates and maybe some fats to be big and to be in shape will reduce them quite a bit. Sometimes they'll pull fats out all the way, almost down to like 30 a day. Sometimes they'll get rid of carbohydrates, and sometimes they'll do both. But there's always manipulation going on regardless of the person. Whether it's Mike Dolce that preaches a more like balanced diet, his diet's going to shift to be more unbalanced the leaner that he gets. He still might view it as balanced, and maybe you view it as balanced, but it's really, there's some sort of imbalance and there's some sort of restriction going on, whether it's a caloric restriction, whether it's a fat restriction or a carb restriction. And even now we see some people talking about like protein restriction, which is weird and fascinating. More to be learned on that down the road via the sugar diet and via just eating straight fat. But yeah, diets always change. Bodybuilders change their diets. Chris Bumstead had a different off-season bodybuilding protocol as to what he switched to when he would, it just didn't call it anything, didn't associate it to anything. But bodybuilders are getting down to damn near carnivore. If you were to count their calories, right? If you, let's take a bodybuilder that's getting ready for a bodybuilding show. A really large amount of their calories, or at least an equal amount of their calories, would come from, or close to an equal amount of calories would probably come from the proteins that they're eating, which would be very much meat. So like a good percentage of their diet is probably like chicken or beef of some sort, which is almost, you can almost say like they're damn near carnivore, right? But then they're eating rice, they're eating some plants, they're having some other things in there. But yeah, the basics of it is like you're always going to switch your diet. Plus, the last thing I'll finish on is like, why would anybody be mad if I used multiple diets to get great results? Wouldn't that like make you happier? Because then you're like, or not maybe happier, but like, wouldn't that be interesting? Because you're like, oh, well, there's many ways to get to the end result. And I don't really know my body fat percentage. I probably will get it tested out at some point, but it really is just insignificant. I don't think it matters that much what it is, but I've really never been this lean before. Maybe there's a chance that my body fat percentage was better when I was bodybuilding because I was heavier, I had more muscle mass. I was on a lot more steroids and stuff like that at that time. So there's definitely some differences there. But yeah, I was able to do it with multiple diets. And you got to keep in mind, for me, I don't meal prep. I don't count calories. I don't weigh anything except for myself. And I'm not saying that that's the best way to go. I'm not saying everybody else needs to do that. There's many routes to the top. And whatever route you're able to find and use consistently, that's going to be the biggest factor, is because consistency is the king of everything. If you can be consistent with it, if you diet pretty good for 3 days and then on the third day you need pizza, but that protocol is working for you and you're getting to your goal, whether it's a bulk or whether you're losing weight, then that's great. That's your plan. That's what you'll follow for a little while. So that's kind of my take on that. Damn, that feels good. This thing's kind of great because you can kind of pinpoint tissues if you want by just using a ball, digging on a hammy. Trying to get that nervous system cranking. Really get in nice on like an IT band on this thing. This stuff, if you're not familiar with it, I can't remember the name of it, but it's J.L. Holdsworth does a lot of it. Cal Dietz does a lot of it. I think it's called IAB or something. Maybe that's
RPR?
RPR, there you go. RPR. I think IAP is like breathing stuff. AP is like breathing stuff. Yeah, these are my wickets. I don't know what a wicket is, so these are my version of wicket. Kind of cool to see the That's the length of the stride. So this is doing some 20-meter flies and then just trying to go 10 meters about as fast as I can, but I don't really mess around with going as fast as I can. I just go, I'm going as fast as I feel like I can mechanically, is what I'm doing. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, buddy. Here we go. Supposed to just do a whole lot of nothing in between the sets, but I need it as I get to, like, right now I want to do shit in between the sets, but as you get more into it, you need all the rest you can get. Here we go. We're at 25 for the speed. No, just kidding. 25 on the incline and a 9 for the speed per hour, miles per hour, baby. We're not talking about kilometers or any of this other non-American bullshit. We're talking about miles per hour, baby. Pounds, baby, pounds. No more of this kilo stuff. Hard to get off of there once you get going. If you look over here, you'll see it's got my name in here. That's what I ran when they were here a while back. 14.8 miles an hour. Wham! That's not very fast, but that's what I ran when they were here. And then this converts what it thinks I need. It's not too far off from the standard. It's like a little bit higher, but this is the speed I'm supposed to be at, but this is the speed I can safely do. So I think it's important for you guys to kind of take note of this, that you're not always going to be able to do what's written down or what you think you can do or what your coach thinks you can do. You're going to have to curtail stuff to you, and it's always best to kind of try to dial it back a little bit. It's not easy to do, but just try to trust me on that. Just try to dial it back a little bit. All right, we got another set. I'm on my third set already. See, I'm supposed to be at 10.3. I'd like to go up a little bit more. I believe that I could truly handle more, but I'm not going to do more because there's a lot more work to be done. So if we were getting more closer to the end, if this was like the last of like a couple things, I would do it, but I'm staying here. Patience. Fuck yeah. My God, I feel good. This feels really promising.
For that one, I did at 8.7. I'm supposed to be at 9.5. This next one I'll do at 9, and we'll see how we can push. Big shout out to Nike, and I just wanted to thank them for sponsoring these videos. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Knight, Mr. Shoe Dog. Felt like there was good clarity on that last one. I was able to get my eyes up. That's been something I've been working on because my eyes are down. I'm kind of scared. So I need to bring the eyes up. Damn, it's far from perfect, but the improvements, I feel better. I feel good. I feel solid. I feel like, I guess I'll say this. I feel like I can put the input into it that I need to get better. And to get better fast. This is mainly for Kula. Hey, Coach Kula, what's up? I'm at 8.3. Bo Chavez, Coach Kula, Tim Stockton, Z-Tread guys. I've been a little bit off on all of these, except I was starting to kind of catch up with this one here. And you can see I'm starting to kind of narrow the gap, but it still feels really comfortable. So I'm just showing this to you guys. I'm right here for today. I'm at this 8.7 at 20, but I got it at 8.3. We're gonna give her a run at 8.3. 8.3 feels absolutely amazing and feels flawless. Then maybe I'll push her to 8.7, but if not, I'll just stay at 8.3. Here we go. And those are supposed to be about 8 seconds, which is hard for me to tell since I can't like necessarily just look at the clock super easy, but. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're here at the workout. Look at how these start over. What a cheap move that is. What the fuck is that? That's bullshit. This is 7, 8, 9, 10. Not 7, 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, I was trying to make it seem like it's like less of a thing because it's separate, right? Who are these guys? Who are these sick bastards that made this Z-Tread and this programming in here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Having a small issue with my arms, like going from here to like here, and you know, being a little terrified. I'm on a 25-degree angle. It's gonna take a while to get adjusted to the whole thing. It's hard for me to open up. So next set, that's the focus. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna make a bigger adjustment here because we're going up on incline. I feel like I'm fatiguing. That felt really good, that last set. But I got to make a little bit of a decision. So I'm going to go down a full mile per hour. And maybe even a little tiny tick. You can always go back up. If I go to go and something feels amazing, I could always change it. When you're making your jumps and you're lifting, you're making your jumps with what you're doing athletically. The one thing that's really nice about the weight room is the jump from 275 to 315 is very controllable. Sometimes the variable of doing box jumps with your buddies and then going from doing a 35-inch box jump to all of a sudden everyone else is doing 40 and you don't want to change out that thing. Sometimes those variables can be hard because maybe you don't have the right thickness of mat or board or all these different things, right? But every gym's got 10s, 5s, 25s, and so on, right? Variables are really easy to control, so make sure you control them. And when you're trying for a 315 bench, but you're only at like 300, you know, take your time in understanding that every little bit that you get towards like 90% of your max, you want to take smaller and smaller and smaller jumps as you get closer to that 315 eventually over time. So between 275 and 315, probably gonna have to take a tweener, maybe 2 tweeners, maybe 290, and then maybe 305 or 300, and then maybe 315. perspective, feels like everything I need is there to do that. Like I said, it's just a little scary, but this is it's gonna change my life doing this shit. It really will. 7.5 for the speed and 25 on the incline. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Incline is 12, speed is 10.5. The treadmill is supposed to be able to like mimic some speeds I otherwise like would have a harder time getting to. Not like, you know, not like someone that runs 20 miles an hour is gonna run 21 or 22 on there often, but like the speeds I'm going at right now, as I progress, these max velocity speeds, they're gonna represent like closer to 100%, or even sometimes maybe 101 or 103% of my best, especially considering it's on an incline. This is a 12% grade right here. So I'm going 10.5, but it's also on a 12 grade. So it is really above and beyond what I could normally do anyway, but I have a long way to go, I guess, is what I'm trying to communicate to you. Because the whole point of it is, it's like a slingshot almost, you know? It's not making it easier, but it is allowing me to train with higher percentages, and it is doing that. But I'm just not to the point where the speed is super fast yet. But it takes a lot of turnover, and all the work I've done in here the last couple weeks of turning over those legs at that high angle, driving those feet up underneath me. Now it's got me in acceleration, right? It's got me going forward. "40 minutes of working my face off, probably 40 minutes, maybe 45 minutes almost of drills and warm up. The myofascial release stuff I was doing. Make sure there's nothing else on here, there's sneaky bastards. Yeah, I'm just gonna do one more set, just a little cruise. About 20 seconds or so. That feels incredible, and I want to do more, but that's how you know you had the greatest workout ever. When I used to coach people, especially with training, like kind of almost like personal training, I'd ask people, I say, "You want to do more?" I'm like, "That's how we know it's a good session. Go home. Get out of here." And they're like, "All we did was pull a sled. And all we did some curls and some shoulders." It's tomorrow, you know? Frequency, consistency. There's other ways to do this stuff. There is. I've heard of people working out twice a week. I've heard of some old school powerlifters mainly hitting all their lifts in two main sessions. But to me, that's not a great way to sustain everything else you're trying to do in your life, you know? It could be effective for powerlifting for sure. Could be great technique for a lot of stuff. But it's, in my opinion, the frequency is the best thing to attach yourself to. And then you have to figure out how, if I'm going to attach myself to frequency, how do I attach myself to consistency? If you're going to attach yourself to consistency, you got to be really careful that you don't have a day where you ran 6 miles and, you know, lifted like a maniac, because that'll set you back. Or even if you're like newer and you're just getting into this and you just blow your wad by walking 3 miles, don't feel bad about it. That can happen. That's what happens. But the more skills that you learn, the more CrossFit that you learn, the more you learn how to use a med ball, the more you learn about anaerobic training, not just aerobic training, explosive stuff. The more you learn how to use the ski erg and the Aerodyne bike and the assault bike and the tank, the more you learn about all this stuff, how to do a box squat properly. You could be someone that's like, man, I really have always had a hard time doing a regular squat because of my knees. But in that same time period, you could have been squatting almost every single week if you found it to be valuable and something that you want to do by box squatting. Learn about this stuff. Learn about elbow sleeves, knees. Like, just try to, over time, really embrace all this stuff and really learn about what it is and what's it for. Because sometimes people are like, well, I don't need to put on an elbow sleeve. Well, of course you don't need to, but maybe it'd be in your best interest, because maybe I'll see you here tomorrow. Maybe I'll see you here the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Everyone has their own journey, and I don't want to be judgy towards other people. Some people run into horrific health problems and issues and stuff, but at 48, when you're walking around, you start to see other people that are 44 and 54 and 49 and 48 and 50. They're struggling a lot of times to even just do the basics. And for me to like be entering back into some of my athleticism, and for me to be entering back into sprinting and stuff, I feel really blessed. I feel incredible. I'm excited. I'm motivated by it. And I'm not comparing myself to those people. But what it makes me think is, oh, if those people found something that they enjoyed that they could do repeatedly, they could be heading in a better direction. And maybe it's not the same direction as me, because I've been like lifting forever. But maybe it is a better direction than me, because maybe genetically they have it, or maybe they had it before. But most likely most people are just gonna have to find something they really enjoy to do, they really love to do. And once you find that, this makes everything else easier. I happen to really fall in love with a lot of this stuff, a lot of this sprint work. I don't know if I'll do it like the rest of my life quite this way. It'd probably be more haphazard, just on some walks and stuff. Probably wouldn't be this detailed. But I did hire Coach Kula, and we're on a mission, and we're gonna see what we can do. See if I can just get myself to improve a lot over the next couple weeks, months, and maybe a year or 2 years or so. Strength is never weakness, weakness never strength. Catch you guys later.